Shalom. Welcome to My Brother's Keeper, Episode 1. I'm Ahmed. Today's roundtable discussion, we'll be looking at the role of fatherhood. We want to take a closer look at what the role of the man was, and specifically focusing on the role of fatherhood, taking a closer look at the relationship between father and son. Let's go ahead and join today's discussion.
Shalom, everyone. Welcome to My Brother's Keeper. I'm Ahmed. I got with me Devin and Kyle with us today. This will be the first episode of My Brother's Keeper. So I'm just going to let it go around. I'll start with myself, introduce to ourselves, and just kind of talk about our childhood, how your relationship was with your father growing up. Give a little bit of insight on that for everybody. In my situation, guys, I was raised my whole life with a single mother. My dad, my earliest memories of my father being in my life is around, I want to say, middle school. We had a couple of break-ins at the house I was living in. And my dad was a construction worker. And so my mom had called him and he came over and did some construction work on the house. And I spent a little time with him, not much. I think I went over his house once or twice. I remember going over my grandmother's house, his mother's house, a little bit more often, spending time with them, without him. And then we kind of just separated from even doing that. And then the next time I remember seeing him, actually, I was married, my first marriage. And me and my wife had went to a Red Lobster. And she had been, your wives ask you questions about, do you miss your dad? How do you think it would be if he was in your life? I think she had maybe about a week or two before they had asked questions about him a little bit. Are you sure you don't want to have a relationship, meet him and different things? And we're in this Red Lobster. And here comes in a party. You can tell it's a family function. And they all sit down at this big table. And I started recognizing people. So they're sitting down, they sit down at the table. And I look over, my dad's sitting over there. It's my dad and his parents and a couple of siblings and stuff. And I just sit there and I watch for a little bit, maybe about 10 minutes. And I tell my wife, I said, remember the other day you was asking me about my dad and, do I want to see him or, have a relationship with him? I said, well, if you want to ask him anything about anything, he's sitting right over there. Here's your opportunity. And she was like, what? Like, your dad is sitting right over there and you don't want to go talk to him? I said, I haven't talked to him up until this point. So why would I, do it now? But then recently I've connected with my half sister and she's been trying to get us all to get together. And so, I'm thinking about doing that and linking up with everybody sometime soon. But that's kind of how, I grew up, along with, uncles, coaches along the way, kind of mentored me and played father figures for me growing up. So, Devin, tell us what you got going on.
Wow, man. So yeah, I grew up on the east side here of Indianapolis, man, near 17th and College, Bell Fountain area. Yeah, man, my father, him and my mom was married, man. They probably been married for like 40 years. But my father wasn't around, right? He was basically a Rolling Stone. Someone that got caught up in the system, of course, was on drugs, I remember him being home every once in a while, in and out. And so it's funny, man, he had a couple kids outside of marriage, 3 to be exact, right? And it's funny, man, they don't make women like my mom anymore. My mom actually took these kids in. This is from 2 different women that he went outside the marriage and had kids with. Okay. And my mom took these kids in, my brother and my 2 sisters, and raised them, like they were her own. And so that goes to show my character of my father at the time. He was in and out of prison, right? And and I'm being the oldest. So I was like, I guess you would say, I had to grow up pretty fast to look over my brothers and sisters. I guess I was a father figure, and I didn't, I don't know nothing about being a father. And so that was my plight, man. As far as having my father in my life, all of my teenage years, he started coming around more. He started to be around more, in my adult life. And I can't say now, after his last stint in prison, last 10 years after he got out of prison, he did turn it around. Him and my mom are still married. And so, he got into the word and that kind of changed his life. And so him and my mom are still together now. Our relationship, is great now. Now I guess that contributes to the words just changing him. So yeah.
I got you. Okay. I kind of tell us a little bit about, yourself and how you grew up with your father.
All right, there'll be hopefully it's kicked me out twice, so hopefully I don't do it again. I have to keep logging in. Well, I was raised in Buffalo, New York, to my early teens, and my mother and father they divorced. Man, I think I might have been, I don't know, maybe two, somewhere like that. And I haven't seen my father until I was 51.
Mm.
Just met him 2 years ago. Me and my brother. During the time growing up, I didn't know all the circumstances. All I knew was they wasn't there. So I had a lot of anger towards him. And my brother, I have one brother. He's older. He looked for him for a whole time. He's looked for him, and he's the reason that we're with him now. He found him. Um, it's ended up being a good thing. I didn't think it would be. And Matt, similar to you, my wife would ask, what would you say to him? Do you want to meet him? And my answer was always, no, I don't. I'm good. You know what I mean? Because I felt like I got this far, saying without him. I had my grandfather till I was about, he passed away when I was around 14. He was my father figure. Same thing with as far as playing sports. I mean, I had some coaches and things. But mainly my grandfather. And once I moved, like I said, I was around when I was 14. My grandfather passed, and I got real close to a family here, and they took them on as like a second family. But yeah, so it's been going good. It's been 2 years since we met. We're in contact all the time. It's going great. It's been a lot of things we talked about. A lot of wounds there. You know what I mean? But I try not to look back in the past. I try to go forward. Life's short, so trying to build bonds, trying to build bridges with my kids and all that. So that's pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. So
That's the beautiful thing about this that I wanted to do, because of just we've all been through different situations, and I think that learning about how things are supposed to be could maybe help some people not have to go the things we went through.
yeah,
Having a foundation of how fathers should be. We know how our fathers are supposed to be. How can we help our kids, our young men? I got four sons. I know, Devin, you got one. Kyle, you got one. We trying to figure it out because we didn't have nobody showing us how to do it.
Actually,
Yeah.
man, I got three,
man.
man.
I'm sorry. You're my fault, Devin. You did. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yep, I got three, man.
Oh yeah, you do. Okay, yeah. So you got three.
Yeah.
You almost with me, man. You almost with me.
Hey, I'll talk, Matt, man. The crazy thing about it is I got three boys, right? And Daniel was born in all different generations. Like I got an 8-year-old almost every 10 years, right? I had a kid. So it's
Wow.
funny, man.
Okay.
18 and 28, man. Literally almost every 10 years. So each of these boys are in different generations that
Right.
I'm having to raise through, so
which is
very
definitely
interesting.
a big
Right.
thing.
But thing too about that is your parenting changes too throughout that time.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Every 10
yeah.
years, you learning new things. Your tactics change a little. You know what I mean? So that's pretty interesting right there.
That is.
Yes, sir.
I ain't think about that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I was going to talk about is fatherhood, and I came up with it. It's an inheritance from Yahuwah, from the Most High. Just exploring that. But I just kind of want to go into, Hebrew of what the word father is in Hebrew. Abba, it's the letters Bet and Aleph, and you put them together and it comes together meaning strong leader of the house. So that's what a father is supposed to be, the strong leader of the house. The picture of the ox, picture of the tent. Not only physically us here on earth being fathers supposed to be the strong leader of the house, but as we know, spiritually, who our father is, Abba Yahuwah, so, he's got us and has left us with fatherly type discipline if we don't do what our father tells. So we'll know that too. Next, the other thing I found this picture and just what Aleph, just the letter Aleph, just, strong power leader, teacher. And when I saw it talked about the yoke putting on. And as you know, when you talk about yoke, it says when you get married to be evenly yoked. But think about it as your son. You're supposed to be the teacher of your son. He's the one right beside you, learning how to go through this with you. You're teaching him life as you go. So I just thought about that, in marriage, how they always talk about being evenly yoked. Well, when your son, you're supposed to be, or you're, evenly yoked, trying to teach him, bring him along the way so he can learn and be the leader of something else. So I just found that interesting when I was looking at that picture earlier. But son, the word son in Hebrew is bane. It looks like being, I think it's pronounced bane. The letters bet and nun. And it means to be, let me see. Got this so small I can't read my screen. Strong's, it means stone, even stone. Many stones build a house. Or the root of it is from the word banah, which means to build. Many sons build a family. So in the Bible, it was all about having sons. There was women doing all kind of things to help they husband have a son. It's all about having a son. And when we learned about sons, what made it so interesting, what you said, Devin, is about having them generations, you continuing on what you started. With girls, you can't continue on because their last name gets changed. Mm-hmm. So to keep your legacy going, you got to keep having sons to keep that legacy going. And it talks about how the house, the family, the seed, with it becomes the family continues when you have sons. You keep going and going and going. So I just thought that was interesting how it is compared to building. You're building a family. Every time you have a son, you continue adding on to the house. And my wife told me earlier, and I forgot about it, she says, and they call Yahuwah the cornerstone of the family. So you got the cornerstone, you still keep on building on to it. So I just found that interesting, but I just wanted to start here talking about, you can't talk about a father if we don't know what a man is supposed to be. And I went back there, if you remember, I did that presentations on men having visions and dreams by after Dr. Miles Monroe's thing, and he talked about men having visions and dreams and certain things that the Most High gave us. And in Genesis 1:27, let me see if I can find it real quick. It reads, so Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female, he created them. So, and it says, and Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. So that's why I put one of the things he asked man to do was he created us in his image, and he wants us to multiply, have more kids. And then it talked about the things he wants us to do. And it said in verses 2 and 15, starting at chapter 2, verse 15 in Genesis. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest eat freely, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. So to me, I took that as first he created us in his image. So I wanted to look at the word image and say, hey, that means his reputation. If you have your son, Kyle, and Tyler go out and people know you, they're gonna be like, oh, that's Jackson's son. You know what I'm saying? Right. Reputation we uphold us. He created us in his image and his likeness, so we got a reputation to uphold. We the sons of the Most High. But and just like in life down here on earth, hey, you got a reputation to uphold. You go out of this house, you got to live up to that. That's an image. Right. We just set an image for our kids. The first place he put him was in Eden, and we know Eden stands for presence in Hebrew. So we was always supposed to be in Yah's presence. Always be in Torah, always be connected to him. The second and third thing it talked about was dress it and keep it, which means to work. He wanted us to work and protect. What do we do at our homes? We go to work and we protect our families. We provide and protect. And the last thing he talked about was obeying his word. He gave him a commandment. This is what you're supposed to do. Now, we all know if our kids ain't obeying the house rules, y'all can get on up out of here. Ain't gonna be no, so I just thought that was interesting that he laid down how, him as a father, what he gave to man, how this is how you're going to operate in our household. Hey, we follow this plan. It's the same thing. This is how we do. Your son is going to be born. He's going to look like you, act like you. He's going to have a reputation. He's going to be in your presence. You're going to be constantly teaching him. You're going to protect and provide for him. And he better obey what you say.
Right. Yeah.
So, I just thought that was interesting that they put that down. And then the other thing I talked about, I did this, as part of my name, learning of who I was with my name. And I highlighted in Merriam-Webster, it talks about reputation. What's the reputation of the Jackson family, of the Miller family, of the Green family? You know what I'm saying? Who are they? People know, like it says of their family clan. You don't want nobody disgracing your name. Hey, don't be out here, just acting up, and it talks in Hebrew, the word for name is Shem. And it's from Shamayim, which means heaven. And so when he gave out names, it was a heavenly name. His name, Yahuwah, was a heavenly name. It ain't something that was created here on earth. It was a heavenly name. But it says it's a memorial of an individuality, by implication, honor, authority, and character. So as a father, we know we have authority over what goes on in our house. And you better represent the character of your dad correctly. What y'all think about that?
That's facts.
Yes, sir.
Straight to the point, right? Pretty much what a man should do when it's household.
But it's so interesting that how this world makes us perceive, especially us Black fathers, how we're perceived.
Absolutely.
That, for the most part, I believe most good fathers act like this. It's scriptural, but they don't even know they're doing it. If they wasn't involved, that most of them are, if you're a good dad, you're acting like this. Even if in the Torah or not, most good dads are acting like this, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's embedded in I would think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I agree.
And then it talks about the name. I just wanted to put this on. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy Elohim in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Just saying, hey, we all know how important the name is to you. And you just know, you just say a different family name. I remember, Kyle, we've had discussions and you'd be like, hey, you remember such and such, she rolled with this family or she was a part of this family. And you're like, oh, that's a reputation about that family. He was telling us a name important. His name's important, so, hey, don't, you got that reputation to uphold. My name. Don't go out here disgracing my name. you know.
Yep.
But this was the kind of title scripture I wanted to use. The basis of what the discussion is. Exodus 31, 1-3, and it says, and Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, see, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah. And I have filled him with the spirit of Elohim in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship. So I highlighted a couple words. The word name, we know, I just got through saying how important someone's name is. But as fathers, we should be putting the spirit of Elohim in them and teaching wisdom, understanding, knowledge. So in all manner of work that they end up doing in their lives, they can do it because they have these things, So then I went and I found some stuff that breaks it down, and it takes that verse and it talks about the Hebrew words for them, hakam, and it means to separate between good and bad, right and wrong, left and right, up and down. That's wisdom. That's the word, what wisdom means in Hebrew. A person with wisdom is one who has the ability to separate between good and bad, right and wrong, which you would think that's just inherently when you grow up, that's what you think you just learn.
Right.
And then it talks about the word understanding, tavan, which interesting from this to me is it's from the root bang, which is the same word that son. So meaning to understand, but the deeper meaning of this word can be found in the related root of banah, which also was in a root word for the word son, which means to build. In order to build or construct something, one must have the ability to plan and understand the process needed. This is the idea behind the verb bang, and is derived now, tavon, to be able to discern the process of construction. So understanding is being able to build upon something that someone's told you. So if as a father, I didn't give you some instruction, you should be able to take that and keep it going, building on it, because you understand it. And then the word knowledge, da'at, meaning to know, is derived from the verb yada, meaning to know. The idea of knowing in ancient Hebrew thought is similar to our understanding of knowing, but it's more personal and intimate. We may say that we know someone, but simply mean we know of his or her existence. But in Hebrew thought, one can only know someone if they have a personal and intimate relationship. And it says in Genesis 18:19, Yahuwah says about Abraham, I know him, meaning he has a very close relationship with Abraham. In Genesis 4:1, it says that Adam knew Eve, his wife, implying a very intimate and sexual relationship. Knowledge is the intimate ability to perform a specific task or function. So I believe in that scripture, and I have filled him with the spirit of Yahuwah in wisdom and understanding and knowledge and in all manner of workmanship, is what as fathers we're supposed to do. So if you give your son wisdom, he should be able to know from good, bad, right, wrong, be able to figure out these things. In understanding, he should be able to understand and build upon what you taught him. And in knowledge, I was messing with my son earlier, and I was like, hey, you know how to play football or whatever? And he's like, yeah, Dad, I know how to play football. So I start asking stuff about it. I say, hey, man, you don't have the complete knowledge you think you have of it. So quit going around saying, I know this, I know that. If you know about it, but you don't have an intimate understanding of it. Just think about that. How much of this stuff, do we really know about? You know what I'm saying? We all go around saying this, but do we intimately know about it? As a father, if you can pass down wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, you got a head start on a lot of stuff, because that means, and it says in all manner of workmanship. So whatever you have wisdom in, understanding on, the knowledge of, you pass that down to your son, he passing it on to his son, and keeps going. And as we know, Torah is at the center of it all. The Bible's at the center of it, passing it down, keeping that as your foundation to keep going. Y'all got any comments or anything to say?
Man, man,
good stuff, man. Good stuff. For real.
yeah, I'm sitting there trying to stay focused, man, because I'm a thinker, and every time you're talking, I'm thinking about all these scriptures and everything. Yeah, man. I'm glad you did, continue to keep the focus on Torah, because I didn't have an example of how a father should be, right? And like I said, these 10 years, only how I gotten better of being a father is by Torah, and we know Torah means instruction, and I think that's what's been missing in our community. We talk about this example of father, man. Our people basically didn't have a father because we left the true Elohim or God. When we start going after the ways of the heathen, and so we've got lost and we were transported over here as slaves. All that was stripped of us, all of our heritage, everything we know. So our whole community has been broken down. So we can see, man, all of us, none of us really had our fathers in our lives. And it's not by coincidence,
Yeah.
it's a lot of factors that played into that, man. I'm pretty sure the percentage of brown folks who don't have a father in their lives is probably 90%, even up to this day. And so we all didn't have examples. So the important thing for me, learning how to be a father, was to get into Torah, the instructions, and find out how. Man, that's how I become a decent father, even right now, to my boys. Proverbs, man, 6:23 says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light." And so, again, man, that's where our instruction come from. That the commandments and the laws and statutes that the Most High wrote for us, that's our lamp, that's our light, that's our direction, that's our instructions, right? And again, that's how I learned how to be a good father. I learned how to be a good husband. I learned how to be a good man. I learned how to be everything that I am. Is through the Torah or instruction.
Kyle, how you think? Kyle, like Devin, he's got. I'm trying to get his feet wet in it, being in Torah. Get it. He that's not his foundation, but me and him talk about it a lot with each other. So I wanted to bring Kyle on from a different perspective, and I know him, and he's got all his kids are doing well. He's raised them right. But that wasn't his foundation. We and you are getting into it, and we kind of lean that way, but. Kyle, not having that foundation of Torah, how have you, what has been your things to pull off of to know how to raise your kids a certain way?
Well, I think part of it was what we talked about earlier. I think it's someone instilled in you, so some of it's just, to me, some of it's common sense if you care. You want to care about your family. Then also examples around me made me not want to, growing up without a father. I knew there's no way, I wouldn't let my kids grow up without a father, knowing that, the pain and things that come with it. I knew that I wasn't going to allow that to happen. I knew I wanted to be with my kids. So that's a huge part of it. And even, just like I said, I learned from my grandfather, even my mother in some ways, you know what I'm saying? Taught me how to be a strong parent, because she did on her own. And she did an outstanding job with 2 boys. You know what I mean? And, and to raise 2 boys as a woman, you know what I mean? Because she can only teach you for so much. You know what I mean? Exactly. But yeah, no, I think some of it, as far as being a father, some of it's common sense if you care. You know what I mean? If you love your kids, you love your family, if you want to be the best you can be, whether it's friend, family, father, whatever, brother, you know what I'm saying? Right. A lot of that's already instilled in us. But yeah, some of it is life examples, and some is just simple common sense to me. So yeah, that's pretty much my basis.
I got you.
You know what? I like that you said that, man, because just making me think, man, like you said, it really goes back to your heart, man. If you love your children, you love your people, then you're going to do the thing. And this goes back to Torah,
Yep.
this reminds me of a scripture, man. We're talking about these last days, man. Jeremiah 31:33, man, it says, but this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuwah. I will put my law in their minds and in their hearts. I will be their Elohim and they will be my people. And so, of course, when Yahushua rose, man, we know the renewed covenant. He talks about that he would put that law in our heart, man. We know to do right.
Right.
It's only when we follow the ways of the heathen and we go completely astray. So we have these things already written on our heart, man, that we want to do this. It's in our DNA, who we are. We how to be fathers is just written in our heart, man. But we just don't choose not to do it because of the cares of the world or getting caught up in the systematical things and all these principalities against our people. But like Ox said, man, when it goes back to the heart, when he followed his heart, all this stuff is written in our DNA, in our heart anyway. So that's the foundation and the lead for it.
Nah, I agree with you guys totally on that. And I took the first segment, I was going to say, the foundation of fatherhood, vision and purpose. And I took that scripture, train up a child in the way he should go, even when he is old, he will not depart from it. And Devin, you are a great, what you said earlier is right on, because you were talking about your sons, how you have them every 10 or one every generation. Well, if we train up our child in Torah, send them on the next generation, they train up their child in it, and then the next, it was beautiful what he did. My word, statutes and commands are going to keep going, because if man is doing what I instructed them to do, it ain't never going to die out. We're going to keep teaching and training these kids and keeping it going, because everybody's continuously teaching. And it's so powerful to me, because he has so much in store for man, for the men. He did everything through man. He wanted to make sure he knew, I'm your father, and we're going to keep going with this. I want y'all to keep continuing this, because this is my plan for the earth. Is man is the leader, and to continue on a legacy in your family, you got to keep producing sons. And Devin, I know you already know how the women was fighting to have some sons. They was fighting about trying to have their husband's son.
Oh yeah.
But that's how big it was back in the day to have you be the one to produce a son. That's a big thing. Even now, women like, man, my husband, I got his son.
Now,
How big that is, but we all know if you, like you said, if you are doing the right thing, teaching your sons the right way, when they get older, they coming back and they're going to come take care of mom and dad, because it was taught to them. They was taught the right way.
Yeah.
How many times I done heard buddies and people say, yeah, my mom or dad ain't doing too well. I'm going to go visit them, or I got to go check on them, or I'm going to move them in with me, and then you got some that they parents wasn't around, things wasn't going right. They have no clue or what their mom and dad doing, but scripture says, if you do what you're supposed to do as a father, your children going to be there at the end, take care of you if you need help,
Hey, the scriptures say, man, go right back to Torah, Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he won't depart from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He might go astray a little bit, but those foundations are inside of him. Those seeds are planted. It's gonna come back to him.
And what you were saying earlier, Ak, about the stuff being on your heart in Deuteronomy 6:6, it says, these words which I command you this day shall be on your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. So you constantly supposed to be telling your kids, about this thing, how life's supposed to go, So I just thought that was a powerful scripture for this too, Deuteronomy 6:6.
You know what I think, man, what's really messed our people up is and I'm not gonna bash the church, man, but religion, right? So when we talk about these things, when we start talking about the Torah and the Bible, they completely are turned off because they're turned off by religion. But when we talking about Torah, man, we talking about a lifestyle, right? The scriptures tell us that his laws are not grievous, but what the churches taught us is that they're done away with, they're too hard. But when you start keeping them, he said, man, it's a joy. In fact, when I start looking into the scripture and stuff, man, it's a joy to start learning our heritage and the way of life that we live. I say this on my podcast all the time, and imagine what we would be as a people if we just kept the 10 commandments, just the 10. If we started with the 10, our communities, man, would change. We wouldn't be out here killing each other. We wouldn't be out here covering each other's stuff. We wouldn't be out here sleeping with each other's wives. Man, all these things, we are completely breaking all of them, right? What if we just returned the 10? Man, our communities would be transformed, and not as a religious, dogmatic thing, but a lifestyle. Like, okay, if you fail, get back up and keep trying again, right? You're not going to get stoned. Just get back up and keep trying to keep following the laws, statutes, and commandments again, right?
Right. I was telling Kyle, I talked to him about, I said, and I think I told you this, Devin, at Sukkot, just the understanding of different things stops people from growing, and just trying to find different ways to relate it to different people when I talk to them. And I remember having a conversation with you guys about substituting the word respect for love. Mm-hmm. If you could just take and do that with people and use that word respect. You just named off about 3 or 4. I ain't cheating on my wife if I respect her. I ain't going out here. I'm taking care of my kids if I respect myself. I'm going, it's just so many different things.
I'm honoring my parents.
Exactly. Just using that word respect instead of love, because a lot of people get tripped up with that love word because of the Greek definitions of it. Greek, it got like 4 or 5 different definitions for the word love. But if you just substitute that word respect for love, respect keep you from doing a whole lot of stuff if you respect someone.
They do. Right.
So enough.
So tell me some stuff about what you guys, some things that maybe you and your sons have gone through, some things that maybe you taught them that they didn't grasp. You gave them some stories, we all together. Hey man, when I was young, I did A, B, and C. You don't need to do that. That they didn't take that wisdom and they went out and, did a couple things and then, came back, Dad, you was right. I know I was right. I was just trying to keep you from having to go through what I went through. Anybody got anything, like that in wisdom they imparted, they had to find out the hard way?
I think the main one, I think most fathers could probably agree with this, is the friends you keep. You know what I'm saying? It just, we could sense a bad seed, as a parent, after living, like you said, I could sense, especially, growing up in the streets a little bit, you kind of know a bad apple, bad seed, by their mannerisms, how they act. I mean, he had some friends that used to come over and not speak, and I'm like, hey, man, that's not going to work. That's a problem. They're not, as going back to what you said about respect. They're coming into my home and not showing me respect in my own home, his father. And so things like that. And he learned at some point, through some situations that they weren't good friends. They weren't friends at all. And, so I think a lot of fathers can relate to that one.
Right.
Sure enough, that's a good one, man. That's one of the ones I was going to say as well. But I praise the Most High, man. And my boys are good boys, man. I look around. I work with 14 to 24-year-olds, homeless young adults, man, and the plight that they're going through and a lot of things they're doing, man, is a lot different from what my boys, the culture and the environment my boys have been around. But I'll say this, man. When we came up, it's a lot different than what they're facing now, man. They are facing so much more than what we face, man. So it's really tricky. You know what I mean, bro? We literally get up against robots and all kind of principalities, right?
Yeah.
These cartoons with all this, this. I was going to be blunt. It is not religious. It's demonic stuff, man. That they're teaching them. Mind control, man. It's a lot that they're going up against, man. So I'll try to find the balance of not being a father that's and is still trying to protect them from what I see spiritually, right? You got the 8-year-old, they want to watch these cartoons all the time, all day, every day on the internet. We didn't have that when we were coming up.
No.
You know what I mean? So how do we protect them from that and still not be, dogmatic?
Right.
That's been my struggle right now. My biggest struggle, man. My 8-year-old is like, man, should I keep him off this phone for some time? And then, with us, Ox, we out here fighting the world. We working. We taking care of our families. We up against all these systems. And we come home, I'm tired as ever.
Exactly.
So do I let him play with his, on his phone, or do I take him outside? Man, it's we up against a lot, man. These days with our young folks, man.
Hey, I got it. So my next thing I wanted to go towards is vision and purpose. And what I mean by that is, as a father, you have a vision for your family. And what I mean, for example, like a lot of people say, Matt, you're a nice guy and your kids are nice. They give compliments to my kids, how nice they are. So like, or we help. You do a lot of helping of people. You coach, your oldest son does this, it's all in the helping. So visually, I don't think I did it. I'm learning about it, that my family was going to be a helping family. We don't have a problem with helping people. That's just kind of the different avenues that my family, my kids and my wife have gone in. Social work. My son helps out with little kids, coaching and refereeing. I coach. But in a vision, as a father, you're giving a vision to your family, they are able to find purpose in their lives a lot easier. You've given them a sense of direction. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's part of being a parent, right? Try to mold them a little bit, give them, like you said, give them direction. As opposed to, like we said, growing up without a father is not, don't really have, you have some sense of direction, but different to have direction from a father than your mother, as a man, as a boy or teenager or whatever. You're gonna listen more. I think I'm not saying I didn't listen to my mother, but to have that man in the home giving some direction would have definitely changed some factors, I think, in my life. But there's no regrets is what it is. Like I said, can't turn back the time, but I'm glad I have a relationship with him now. So
Right. No, I understand. It's just the small things when I was growing up, just not as a my mom didn't do it, like changing a tire, you see a woman on the side of the road, go help her, change the tire. You see a woman carrying groceries, help them out. You see this go, just little lessons like that, that that's what fathers do. They teach you how to be a gentleman,
respectful.
How those are your examples. Your kids are watching you, and seeing how you are with your wife, your girlfriend, how you treat them. Most people.
Plus as I think as as a teenager or a young man, whatever, when you achieve some kind of goal, whatever it may be, whether it's sports or whatever it is, it'd be nothing like that feeling of getting praise from your father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As a young man, you know what I'm saying? And that, and I missed all that. And you guys can relate. Because I used to see after a track meet one time, we won. I had a good meet too. Did well in that one. And I seen some of the fathers going over and hugging their boys, hey, let's go get ice cream. And and all that. And my mother couldn't make it, so I didn't have any parents there, and pretty much walked on with my brother, and by myself carrying my track shoes. So, so stuff like that, like you said, the little things that really aren't little,
Right.
it's all said and done. But yeah,
I know
they are
that.
huge.
Yeah, I know that, Devin. Dealing with the kids, you helping with, just not having that mentor, not having that guy to guide has gotten some people in some situations.
Yes, sir. You know it, man. That's it, man. Leading by example. That's how we create those visions for our families, right? And that's why I make it a purpose to let my son see me helping people. The scriptures tell us, man, that love covers a multitude of sins, right? And so, just showing love, man, genuine love, and instilling pride in them, right? We grew up, not knowing who we are, being called by bywords, our heritage, everything stripped from us. So instilling that pride in them that you are somebody.
Yep.
Like you are of a chosen generation, man. You're a royal priesthood. Like Ox said, man. Somebody speak tell you they're proud of you, speak confidence in you, speaking to your life. That's why the scriptures tell us, man. It's life and death in the power of our tongues. And we speaking into our youth. There's so many of us that had fathers and parents that spoke negativity over us, right? And it carries down through these generations, man. And so, again, being an example and speaking into them, self-worth,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because the first thing I remember talking about, the first thing Dr. Miles Monroe talked about is the first thing Yah gave man was image, in his image. And he says the biggest thing that a man has is his self-image. If you don't think highly of yourself, why should anybody else think highly of you?
Right.
Yeah. And who do you get that from normally? Your father. He's the one who builds you up and tells you, like you just said, you a king. You this. Don't let nobody talk bad about you. Don't let nobody disrespect our name. Don't let mom can say it, but it's like you said, Kyle, it's different coming from a father.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
But Devin, you didn't hit on this. The second thing I was going to talk about and go into is our culture. And you've been already hitting on it. Passing down an inheritance. And, part of everybody thinks of inheritance as money, but wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is an inheritance too, because as you guys as we've been talking, if you're not getting this from your father, where are you getting it from? So getting the correct instruction helps you out in life, and passing that on down through the generations from my son to his son to that's putting you over putting you a little bit ahead already if you got the right information. So Devin, you already did hit on it, man, how our culture, we was robbed of it. So not having that culture of how to operate in has cost us along the way, being able as fathers to teach our kids the right way, because we've been living in somebody else's culture, adopting their ways, doing what they say to do. And we all know, according to her, that ain't how you're supposed to be living your life at all. Right. So tell us a little, I know you know about this culture thing, Devin.
Man, I keep going back to Torah, man, because all the answers for us is in Torah, man. Proverbs 8 and 11 says, "For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her." Yep. Right? The wisdom of our culture and things that we've lost along the way, man, over here in the land of our captives. We don't have that wisdom. And the scriptures tell us, again, going back to Torah, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? But I'm encouraged because the scriptures also tell us in these last days, knowledge shall increase. And so as we're waking up to who we really are, we're getting back to our culture. We're getting back to our way of living. Again, it's not religion. It's not religion. These things are not hard to keep, man. It's a part of our culture. It's wisdom from our elders, wisdom from our forefathers that we've lost. And so getting back to that, man, we get back to our heritage.
So let me
Get
ask you
back to our
guys,
rightful
in this
place.
culture thing, education. We talked about a little bit about the internet, things they're watching, the programming they're, seeing on a daily basis. Just sending your kid to school in itself can be harmful to them because they're being educated in a system that's not teaching the core examples of, like you said, Torah. So they're learning the Babylonian educational system who wants them to partake in Christmas and Halloween and all these pagan traditions. How do you guys balance, like you said, being on your phone when you're tired or whatever? Do you just how do you do it, and what's some advice you would say on how to help fathers and mothers on dealing with being in this Babylonian culture, but knowing that, hey, this ain't how we supposed to be? Does anybody got anything to hit on that?
Well, for me, what I'm saying, being, with my the way I grew up, obviously, I wasn't really in the church or anything like that. So I can't really comment a lot on that one. But I do, but I am spiritual. I do pay attention. I do understand, me and Matt, we've had that discussion about the holidays many times. So, yeah, so I can't really comment a lot on that as much as probably you guys could.
So I guess with me, man, I talk to my 8-year-old like he's a teenager or adult, man. I give it to him just how it is, and tell him what's really going on. And I'll say, if you don't understand, you'll understand when you get older. So I'm planting those seeds, right? And he sees where I stand on those things, right? I had to, separate from his mom because of my beliefs, and so he sees that if I'm that serious about what I believe, that's instilling in him, that this is serious, because our people, man, we think, we have this argument, oh, it don't hurt nothing, it's all for fun. But when the spiritual implications of these things, man, that's why our fathers are in our lives, all these different things we were participating in, we don't know what spiritual consequences that, came with those things, right? All these weight that was laid on us and all these things that were laid on us by celebrating the Day of the Dead and worshiping the solstice for December the 25th and all these other deities we worshiping, because now we can look back and trace the origin of all these holidays or hell days, and everything that's going on in this Babylonian system. So for us that are woke, man, we understand, right, the consequences of following these things spiritually, right? And so I'm very serious about it, man, when I talk to my boys and explaining to them. But again, it's a battle, man. You can't be so boom, 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 boom on them. So I try to balance it out, man. I'll let him do it, then I'll explain to him what it's about. I'll let him play his games, let him watch these crazy cartoons, but I say, you see that they call that guy gods and these different gods in cartoons. These are gods, and it didn't like. And I'll explain those things to him. I'll let him watch it, but I'll explain to him what I see.
Right. We, me and my wife, we have, we go all the way to school. And we'll tell the teachers, hey, when this holiday comes around, they're not to participate. And even my kids it's been ingrained in them that they'll tell the teacher, I'm not allowed to participate in this. And we've had to have discussions with teachers about, hey, we'll send something for them to do if you ain't got nothing. But they ain't, if we got to keep them home on this day because you ain't got nothing, we'll keep them home. But But we've had good teachers up to this point that have worked with us, and they'll separate them and give them something else to do. But we are called to be a set apart people. So I don't feel bad about it, because that's how we are. We ain't supposed to be doing what everybody else do, so that to me signifies I'm moving in the right direction. When I'm doing something different than the norm, hey, that's what he instructs us to do, be set apart from everybody else. So we will go that far with it, but like I said, the scripture that I was using for this was Proverbs 4 and 5. Get wisdom, get understanding, do not forget my words or turn away from them. Hey, if you know the truth, you supposed to do it. And me and you, we know the truth. Kyle's learning about it. And even not being in the truth like us, like Devin, me and Kyle conversation, he wasn't following half the holidays anyway, like he said, so
yeah, right.
learning about stuff is like, hey, that ain't for me. That ain't for me. But most people don't even realize what culture is. And Monroe talked about, he had a quote. He said, Yahuwah's goal was to fill the earth with the culture of heaven, or the Shamayim, using men or man. And he says, when a kingdom colonizes a territory, it fills the territory with its culture.
Mm-hmm.
So they already, once they took over, they took us. They was already trying to indoctrinate us with what they do. But Yah's plan was for man to be down here doing what they do in heaven, just keeping his word going. But we know along the way we had some bumps and bruises. Adam, he first bumped, then we got to another one. He had to kill everybody off Noah, so it ain't just us. We've all had bumps along the way, but we also know when somebody else comes in and wants to take over and conquer you, they going to try to erase everything that because they want you to be fully invested or in their culture. And so, I just feel, what are some ways as fathers we can slowly bring back our culture to, maybe not fully 100% of the world of Yasharel and in the culture fully, but what are some small steps we could take to help our young boys and young men start being able to build, one, we teaching one, now he's being able to teach his son. How do you think we get to that place where we can start building as a nation again, following Torah, as our foundation?
Yeah, man.
So,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you good, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, man, it's being a light, right? The scripture tells us to be a testimony, not be saying your testimony, because a lot of people just talk, but be a testimony. So for me, with my boys, I try to live out in front of them, be a light in front of them. Because these young kids, man, they ain't listening. Half may listen to what you talk about. I mean, if you're a teenager, you ain't really listening. But when you live it out in front of them, they see it. Something's different about this dude, man. Something's different about him.
Right.
And that's how I do even at work, man. I don't preach to none of them. I rarely bring up scripture or anything, hardly ever. I just live it out in front of them. And they say, man, something's different about him. I want to be like this guy.
Right, right. Now, you got anything?
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of what you said earlier, Matt, which perfect examples, everything you were saying, how you got your kids out there learning, working in the community and all that. I think that's community is huge. We get out there and work, everyone work out in the community and, to build a community, show that family, all family, you know what I'm saying? And but I think with a lot of what you're saying, Matt, you teaching your kids how to care about their neighbor and help their neighbor. That'll like you say, your kids are doing it. They'll teach their kids. Just a friend, one of your sons, like, You know what I mean? Be like, yeah, that's cool. I like what you're doing. And he might start doing, helping and working in the community. So, I think what you're doing is the perfect example.
Yep.
So for what a lot of it.
I agree with what both of you guys were saying. I think, Devin, you said something that was key too, is the being the example. Letting others see how you do, because like you said, there's a lot of kids, especially the ones without fathers. They are looking for someone to watch or follow, and most times it's because we don't have men out here that have been taught, been trained how to raise other men, that we can't give them the example they need on how to live life the right way, to be able to have a son and train him the right way. So when we do have brothers that are trying to do it, we gotta continuously just keep trying to just do right. Like you said, just be an example. Even if you don't know someone's watching, you just be the example.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I struggle with it. I stand after me every day trying to get me to fall into some type of trap. And then there you go. Then they go, so look at Matt. We'll look at what he did. How he gonna do that? So it's a battle.
I think the key with that, man, is showing, in our culture, man, you can't make a mistake. You always right.
Right.
For me, man, I let my kids know when I make a mistake, and I let them know that they can make a mistake, but just own up to it, apologize, get back up, and move on, learn from it.
Yeah.
But I like, man, KJ, man, he said a lot of stuff, man. He said he didn't grow up in the church in Alabama. Everything he's been saying, man, is Torah based, man. I could just again, I just feel like the word is the scripture, it's written on our hearts, man.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I definitely believe that.
All right, y'all, we're gonna get ready to wrap it up, but I wanted to share something with you to bring this full circle. And y'all tell me what y'all think about this. I'm gonna read from Genesis 17, and it reads, verse 1: And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty El. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed, and after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be an Elohim unto thee and to thy seed. So basically, if you look, when I was reading that, spiritually, the Most High comes in and tells Abram, I'm your new daddy. And what do we talk about earlier? Who has authority over their kids when they born, of their household?
Right.
The father.
Wow.
So what did he come in? He said, hey, man, I got to change your name because your name was Abram. You was born to Terah. Hey, I'm your new daddy. And under my house, I got authority now. So you got to change your name when you with me. So now he changed his name to Abraham. Then he tells him, hey, this is I'm going to make many nations out of you, out of your seed. So you're going to multiply. You're going to have kids. You're going to keep this thing going for me. But I got some rules to this. In my house, these are some rules we got to follow. There's some stuff we got to do if you're living underneath my house. But what's interesting is that he makes the covenant with Abraham, and we know he's the father of the nation. So then when you go to where's that? Okay. Okay, so then you go to Jasher. I know some people don't subscribe to apocryphal books, but in Jasher, I like reading them because it gives you background information. So in Jasher 8:1, and it was in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Terah and all the wise men of Nimrod and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes toward heaven the night to look at the stars, and they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and he swallowed up the four stars from the four sides of the heavens. And all the wise men of the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight. And the sages understood this matter, and they knew its importance. And they said to each other, this only betokens the child that has been born to Terah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever. And he and his seed will slay great kings and inherit their lands. So I pointed out to, because vision and purpose, before Abraham ever knew anything, it already been made happening. And these conjurers and people, they looking up in the Shamayim in the heavens, and they say, oh my goodness, this baby that's born, he's about to take over the earth with all his descendants. And then you go to Genesis, and the Most High, he comes and fulfills it and says, okay, now it's time to change your name. Now it's time to make these nations that you was born to do, time to do my work. And with the other interesting, when you start reading that background information, you learn that Abram was born and the king wanted to kill him. They told him about this. The conjurers told the king this. So they had to go through some stuff, and Abram went and lived in the cave with his mom for 3 years. But he was sent after those 3 years to be with Noah and Shem, Noah's son. They're the ones who taught Abram Torah. So his father wasn't even present in his life, because his father is living with King Nimrod doing pagan and Babylonian type things. So when he so I just think it's just like life, how it goes now, you know. I was a guy that wasn't living according to Torah, you know, but the Most High had a plan for me. When it was time for me to come back, he brought me back, and now he you know, working out his plan through me, you know. But I just thought that story was so interesting that, hey, he came in Genesis, we learned he came and he did these things, but the background is it had already been told. So as a father, I believe it tells you don't leave, as it in Genesis. Where's that at? I know you know, early in Genesis, it tells us, where is it at? There in Genesis, second chapter, verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. You're not supposed to be leaving your mom and dad until you got your life together to take care of another family. As men, black men, we out here having babies and doing stuff, all this stuff that we shouldn't be doing, and putting ourselves in bad situations. But if we live in according to Torah, we learning perfecting what we're supposed to be doing in life and how to be a man. So when we go out, when we finally leave our mom and dad, we're ready to start the family. We got the tools, we got the wisdom, we got the knowledge, we got the understanding to pass on our inheritance. We pass it on to the different generations that the Most High gave to us to begin with. You know, but hey man, it was just a beautiful thing when this was coming to me, man. And I just was like, man, you know, we've had it all along. They just took it from us. You know,
right. Yep.
You know, anybody got any final comments they want to add? Man, it's been great.
Nah, I'm glad we did it, man. It was great, man. I loved it. You know, it's always good to talk. It was good for me, you know, Matt. We've had that talk. It's good for younger generations to hear the older generations of men show that it's okay. You know, open your heart, speak on things, speak about
you know, the pain of your life and everything like that. So it ain't all about having this tough shell up all the time. So
Yeah.
it was a good thing we did that.
Go back to the heart. Go back to the heart. Man, my
Yep, that's
final words,
hard.
man. Yep. My final words, man. Our Heavenly Father, man, our Abba is a perfect example of a father. And he teaches us through Torah the instructions how to be a father, right? Second Chronicles says, if my people who are called by my name, so under the Father's name, right? Did you know, man, we came over here on slaves. So if you go back and read the records of the slaves, before they changed our names, it gave us their last name, it gave us their names. Most of them had Yah in it, like Ben Yah, Ken Yah, Matthew Yah, and our King, our Redeemer said, I come in my Father's name. His name is Yahusha, which means Yah saves or Yah salvation, right? And so again, man, our Heavenly Father is the perfect example of how to be a father and our instructions on how to be good fathers.
Yep. No, I totally agree. Me and my wife was up at like 5 o'clock this morning. That time thing had thrown us off. And we was just looking at the generations, just looking at Adam. And then we was looking at Cain and Abel and how, Cain, when he killed Abel, Cain was a shepherd. It was Abel. Which one? It was Abel. Who's the one that was the fruit? Was it Cain or Abel? It was Abel. Abel's the one who got killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Abel was the shepherd. He was the shepherd. What is Yahusha to us?
Shepherd.
The shepherd got killed. His blood got spilled onto the sheep. What did we have to do in Egypt on the last what you call it? The last
on the Passover, we put the blood over the door.
Yes.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So then it talked about the generations that came from them. So we got all the way up to kept going, and me and her were looking at it. We got to Enoch. It got all the way to Noah. And who was the when we got to Noah, and who was the father of nations?
Abraham.
Who was he taught by?
Who, Noah?
Yeah, Noah and Shem. So it's just amazing how the Most High was able to keep his word going, keep it going. And it just so happily throughout these generations got passed to the right person along the way, talked to them. And it's just like, hey, as fathers, man, we just got so much responsibility. And that's why he gave us so much authority in our homes and in the world to be able to, like Miles Monroe said, keep his culture going down here on earth. It just gave me a sense of, man, I got a lot to live up to. This is what my Elohim expects of me as a man and father.
Do you think that's why this culture, man, is trying to destroy, the brown man and the masculine?
Oh yeah, because I think about
we got the alphabet stuff going on everywhere.
Right. Just think about
wearing tight jeans and
think about like, so talk about the Messiah returning. They know this, like this scripture, we know it's supposed to happen. Who is the only race that they try whenever they think a Messiah is being brought up that they try to knock off?
Yep.
Ain't nobody else. They ain't knocking off Trump. They ain't knocking off, whoever else of any other race. It's just the black man. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, such and such. Right.
Right. Yeah.
If they believe that you may have the ability to lead and draw the nation together, man, you ain't around too long. So man, it's just the responsibility and the want to as a man and as a father to just lead and just do what you're supposed to do. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Miracles. Just do what you're supposed to do.
It ain't hard.
Right.
care.
Right. And like we said, if you don't know Torah, lead by your heart. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Lead
Yep.
by your heart. And
Right. Hey, man, I really appreciate it. You know, this is my first time on my channel doing a live or, you know, just a recorded podcast. You know, I've been doing different things, but I appreciate you guys joining me. I do have a second part plan to it. And, you know, if you guys are available, I'd love for you to come back. Discussion was amazing. And like I said, all praises to the Most High. You know, I appreciate your time, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.